Time now for the big fat idea. Travis Dowle joins me from Maxam Capital Management. These are the guys who've, you look at their fund since inception, and it's done over double digits. Travis, thanks for taking the time on the weekend. Let me just get right to it. What's the specific idea you've got for us today?
Hi, Michael. Thanks for having us on the show again. Our idea today is Polaris Infrastructure Incorporated. And Polaris is a renewable energy company that's currently producing and focused on expanding its production at its geothermal plant in Nicaragua. It's about a $130 million market cap company.
First thing that jumps out at me, Travis, how do you find a stock like that? I mean, I know that's what you do for a living, and Maxam looks for these unusual opportunities, but man, that sounds, okay, so it's a renewable energy company focusing on expanding production capacity, geothermal in Nicaragua. What grabbed you quickly on, the kind of methodology you use? What were the tick marks when you started to look at this?
Yeah. I mean, first off, it is actually a Canadian company. Its operations just happen to be down in Nicaragua. So we found it through a meeting with the management team, and we are looking for ideas that are a little bit off the beaten path sometimes. Part of our strategy is looking for ideas where we think we found value and a catalyst, and Polaris fits that profile. This company is relatively cheap, trades at about 0.5 times tangible book value, about 6 times on an enterprise value to EBITDA basis, so a rather cheap multiple. And we love that it's got a very visible growth runway ahead of it. 2 years of development add-on opportunities at its current assets that we think will grow power production by up to 35%. And that growing cash flow profile should allow them to keep increasing their dividend. And currently it's paying a dividend yield of over 6%, which is another thing we like about the company.
Let's come back to Nicaragua. You obviously assess geopolitical risks. What's your assessment of the country and the company there? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, Polaris Infrastructure Fund's been operating in Nicaragua for quite some time. They have been able to repatriate their cash flow back into Canada so that they can pay dividends to their shareholders. So we've looked at it. I mean, it's one of the risk profiles we look at. Canadians need to be comfortable with that type of risk investing in Latin America. But this is a country that needs investment in its country, and it's been fairly stable from that perspective.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we come back and it trades on the Toronto Stock Exchange, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's rather simple. I mean, investors can purchase shares on the open market in Canada. The ticker symbol is PIF. It trades at about $8.50 a share right now. We just bought more shares in the company this past week, so we like it at current valuations. And of course, investors need to consider its place in a diversified portfolio. It's certainly not the only company we own. We own quite a few others in the portfolio as well.
But that's a great point you're making here. I'm always on about, the biggest mistake investors make is that they take too much risk, or risk that's not appropriate for them, either emotionally or in terms of their capital portfolio makeup. So you would call this an aggressive growth?
Yeah, I mean, I'd sort of shy away from the aggressive part of that. I think, an investor needs to be certainly risk tolerant with a security like this. I mean, it is an equity. It trades on an exchange. So as we know, those go up and down for a number of company-specific reasons and also non-company-specific reasons when you have things happening in the world that cause investors to move between risk-on and risk-off type of emotional states, if you will.
Sure.
But risk-tolerant, growth-oriented investors, again, you need to be comfortable with Latin America. We're comfortable from that perspective with the security. And like I said, it's a security, so it should be part of a diversified portfolio of other securities.
Just very quickly, it's a Polaris Infrastructure, PIF, on the Toronto Stock Exchange. How long should they expect to hold it?
It's PIF. I'm not sure if you mentioned that correctly. Yeah. We're thinking this is going to be a 2 to 3 year story for the thesis to play out properly. Yeah. We think you'll get dividend streams and potentially growth out of this one as well. So a good balance.
Yeah. I love it when we get to hear people like Travis Dowle, Maxam Capital, because it shows us his thinking about not just how to pick a stock, but around how does it fit for you. And again, that's great stuff. Travis, thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Michael.